So you're coming to the islands of Hawaii, and you know we have beautiful beaches. But today, our family wanted to share with you 8 things that we think you should see and eat over here on the island of Oahu. I'm Gina from Ohana Eats, and today we wanted to bring you not only to some of the most popular places here on the island of Oahu, but also a bunch of places that we like to take our friends and family when they're coming to visit. But first of all, we wanted to thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you can be updated on all of your Hawaii food and travel needs. Now let's get started. So the very first place that we want to take you to is the Byoto Inn Temple. The Byoto Inn Temple is located in the Ko'olau Mountains on the east side of the island of Oahu in the town of Kaneohe. When you first pull in, you're actually going to pull into Valley of the Temples, which is a cemetery, and then you stick to the right-hand side and you'll see the parking lot for the temple. The grounds are manicured beautifully, and the very first thing that you'll see as soon as you cross the bridge is a giant bell. So the sacred bell, which is actually known as the bancho, is going to be located on the left-hand side. Traditionally, most people bring this before they enter into the temple. When you get ready to walk inside the temple, the very first thing that you're going to see is a sign asking you to remove your shoes, and there is a little spot for you to put them as well. The Byoto Inn Temple was built to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the first immigrants to arrive from Japan to the islands of Hawaii. This temple is built at a much smaller scale than the original temple over in Japan. You will see a lot of people feeding the koi fish, and right across that bridge is actually a place where you can get some souvenirs. You can walk around the grounds. It's very quiet and very peaceful, and you will notice a lot of beautiful tropical birds as well. So the next place that we want to take you is the Murangsha Korean Buddhist temple. Now this temple is located just 15 minutes outside of Waikiki. You're going to drive through a residential area before you hit the top of the mountain, and then you'll notice a little parking facility and some spots right by some beautiful mango trees. You're also going to see huge clay pots on top of one of the building structure. So one of the biggest differences that you're going to notice between the Korean temple and the Japanese temple is that this Korean temple is super ornate. The drawings on the outside of the temple are very colorful. This temple actually stands for Broken Ridge Temple because when it was originally constructed, it was too high for the Hawaii limitations, so they actually had to lower it. So the broken ridge of the temple actually corresponded to a Buddhist teaching, which reminds us to shatter our own inner roofs so that we can reach true inner liberation. You are going to notice a statue of Maitreya, which is actually a replica from the Silla dynasty, and the original is located over in the National Museum of Korea in Seoul. This is actually considered the Buddha of the future, and it is displayed beautifully in this super lush garden. You're also going to notice the garden of Jijeng Bosao, and that's tucked away all the way in a corner up a staircase which has over 1,000 miniature figurines of disciples peeking over the ledge. One of my favorite things to do over here at this temple is to actually walk up the main staircase and check out the views all the way to downtown Waikiki. It is absolutely stunning with the wind blowing, the mountains in the background, and the beautiful view of the city. You just can't go wrong. It's something that we feel you should really try to see if you're over here on the island of Oahu. Next up, we have to take you to a farmer's market. One of the biggest questions that I always get asked when people come to visit is, where can I get a real taste of local food? Well, a farmer's market is the absolute perfect spot. Over here, our biggest farmer's market, and I would say our most popular, is Kakaako. This farmer's market is located really close to downtown Waikiki. Depending on which part you're staying in, it could be about 5 minutes or maybe 10 to 15. And this farmer's market is way bigger than you even realize when you first get there. The one section of the farmer's market has lots of artisans, lots of food. There's even a pizza oven, lots of fresh fruit. And then the other part of the farmer's market actually has a smaller version of that, but it's located directly across the street. The Kakaako farmer's market is somewhere where you can definitely get lots of local fare, try lots of different things all in one place. The Kakaako Farmers Market is only open from 8 a.m. to 12 noon on Saturdays. You can take a bus there, or if you have an Uber, you can get dropped off right in front, and you can also park right over by the Ward Shopping Center. There is no admittance fee, but it definitely can get hot, so I always recommend bringing water and a hat, and of course sunscreen. One of the things that you're gonna notice about this farmer's market is that the variety of food is unbelievable. You have everything from abalone to coconut milk-based ice cream, dim sum, fresh pasta, coffee, and all kinds of artisanal goods as well. You're also gonna hear some live music, and you're definitely gonna see lines at a lot of the vendor booths. We always try to check out a different spot every time we come, but we definitely have some favorites. The thing that I love about this farmer's market is that there are so many local farms that come and bring their produce. So you're gonna see some beautiful fruit like pitaya or dragon fruit, and longan or lychee, and mango and papaya. And I absolutely love supporting as many local farmers as we can because their fruit and vegetables are so fresh and they taste fantastic. So another farmer's market, which is also open on Saturdays from 8 to 12 and does not have an admission fee as well, is located closer to Pearl Harbor. This is the Pearl Ridge Farmers Market, and there are a lot of similar vendors at this farmers market, but it's on a much smaller scale. We love all of their fresh fruit smoothies. There's lots of small vendors that sell specialty products. We love the Korean street food, and we definitely love the baked goods. They even have specialty bakeries, ones that have gluten-free and dairy-free products, and they taste fantastic. They also have plenty of parking, live music, and seats so that you can enjoy all of your food right there at the farmer's market. You're also gonna see lots of local farms here, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and even some local beekeepers as well. One thing to note about both of these farmers markets is that some of the vendors only accept cash, so stop at an ATM ahead of time, but they do also have an ATM at both of these locations. Next up, we have got to bring you guys to one of the most beautiful botanical gardens here on the island of Oahu. We are going to take you over to the east side again, to the town of Kaneohe again, but this time we're going to visit Hoomaluhia Botanical Garden. It is located in the Ko'olau Mountains as well, and it is absolutely stunning. You may have seen some images online ahead of time, and it is totally worth the visit. Depending on the weather, you can run into some rain, and I always recommend that people bring bug spray because you can get eaten up a lot over here. It is super lush and tropical. So these botanical gardens are stunning. You have 400 acres of all different kinds of trees, plants, and even fruit. Our advice when visiting the botanical gardens is to go directly to the top and work your way down. When you get to the top, you are going to see such stunning views. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy or not, the mountains never disappoint. A lot of times you will see people getting married there or having their wedding photos or graduation photos taken there as well. The area is perfect if you would like to bring your lunch, have a picnic, or if you just want to walk around and hike. There are lots of little areas where you can park and walk around, and they do also offer camping, but that's something that you have to set up ahead of time. So you do need to go onto their website in order to reserve your spot. There is also an area that you can walk down to that has a really beautiful lake. Now, before COVID, they did offer some catch and release fishing, but currently they are not offering that program. So if you do it the way we do and you start at the top, you go take all of your beautiful scenic pictures, and then you go down to the main area, you can grab your map and walk down. It's kind of a zigzaggy path, and it does get a little bit muddy and yucky, so definitely don't bring anything that you're worried about getting dirty. And you can go straight down to the lake area. This area is manicured absolutely beautifully, and you will notice lots of people taking pictures there as well. It is so pretty, and it is just stunning to see all the different kinds of birds, trees, and fruit growing along the side of the path. Now, if you do have any mobility issues, I will say that the path can be a little bit slippery, so it might not be worth taking a risk. It might be better just to do the paths that are flat and located right outside of the parking areas. If you do have children, you will see that a lot of people have little backpacks or some kind of carrier in order to take the kids down to the lake area, because again, it can be a little bit treacherous with some of the rocks, and especially when the grounds are wet. Because there are so many different areas of these botanical gardens, I would give yourselves a couple hours to explore. It's definitely something that you can do first thing in the morning and then have the rest of your day open. Let's say you're staying in downtown Waikiki and you want to go to a botanical garden, but you're not quite up for the ride to the east side. Well, don't worry, because Foster Botanical Garden is located right in downtown Honolulu. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because it's like a botanical garden in downtown Honolulu, but it is, and it is stunning. Now, Foster Botanical Garden is located kind of in the heart of the city. It is not something that you would anticipate upon walking down the street, especially with all the traffic in the background, but the second that you enter into the parking lot, you can totally tell that you are transformed into another area. You can see the mountain range in the background and all of these beautiful, enormous trees. This botanical garden is very different than Hoomaluhia, but it is gorgeous nonetheless. You will see such beautiful trees. You will see a gorgeous butterfly garden. There are such pretty flowers and orchids located at Foster Botanical Garden that you cannot even imagine all the different varieties until you get there in person and see them. So Foster Botanical Garden is only 14 acres, so it's a lot smaller than the 400 acres at Hoomaluhia. However, it is way more flat. So if there are any mobility issues, this botanical garden is going to be a lot easier to get around. You're going to see a variety of plants from Hawaiian to Caribbean and so many different types of palms. I really love this botanical garden because even though it is smaller, there are plenty of spots that you can have a picnic. There are also plenty of spots to walk around and still feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. This botanical garden is super easy to get around if you have small children or elderly, and there is parking available right outside of the entrance and also street parking available as well. Last but definitely not least is a major food group over here in Hawaii, the Malasada. The Malasada, which actually translates to poorly cooked, is a Portuguese donut said to originate sometime around the 1400s. The Malasada was brought over here to the islands of Hawaii in the 19th century by Portuguese sugarcane workers. So if you're looking at the Malasada and you think, okay, it looks just like a regular donut, well, you're partially right. It does look like a regular donut, but the dough is completely different. It's a much eggier batter, and it is actually rolled in sugar after it's fried, and it gives it a completely different consistency than a traditional yeast donut. So by far, I would say that Leonard's is the most famous Malasada store over here on the island of Oahu. They do have several locations, with their main one being downtown, just minutes away from Waikiki, and they also have a few food trucks. And that has a couple locations. One is even by Waikele, the outlets, and one over on the east side and by Windward Mall as well. You are for sure gonna see a line outside of Leonard's almost every single time that we go. There is a line, but it moves very quickly, so don't be intimidated at all. It's definitely something that you should stop by and check out. The traditional malasada that Leonard's offers is their regular malasada, which is rolled in sugar. You can also get it filled, and they have all different kinds of fillings and a flavor of the month as well. They have everything from haupia, which is coconut, dobash, which is chocolate, and then vanilla, and also guava. This month they even had some raspberry filling as well. I absolutely love any kind of confection and any kind of sugar, and I will say that there's always a debate on who has the best malasadas, but I think that Leonard's is really by far the most popular here on the island of Oahu. So when our friends and family come to visit, we do take them to Leonard's, but we also like to take them to one other spot, which is Pipeline Bake Shop in Kaimuki. They have some of our favorite malasadas. Now these are not filled, but they are a traditional round malasada, and they're rolled in either plain sugar, cinnamon sugar, lihing, or even a coffee flavor. These malasadas are totally different than Leonard's. They're a much airier, and they're also a much doughier texture, but we love them both, and we definitely think it's worth it for you to check both out. One of our favorite parts about visiting Pipeline is that the Kaimuki area has so many great restaurants, so you can totally get everything from pho to ramen to boba tea all on the same block, and then you can of course leave room for a fresh hot malasada. So please make sure that you don't forget to subscribe so you can see more of our family's favorite places to see and eat over here on the island of Oahu. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to drop any comments or questions down below. I am always happy to answer them. I will throw the links for everywhere that we visited down below. As always, stay safe and aloha.